I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Board of Leavenworth County Commission. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, all three commissioners are present. We'd like to start with a moment of silence. I'd like to go ahead and start with the portion of public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, we'll close that. Oh, Mr. France, were you coming up?
Well, can I speak about the roundabout?
Well, we're going to discuss that later. You'd be more than welcome to speak at that time, unless I don't see anybody from the city here today. I figured we'd have. Oh, okay. You met, well, David and Sarah also met with the city, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any administrative business this time, Mark?
I just wanted to update the board and let them know that I had received summons to be included in the lawsuit with the other employees for the multi-year contracts. I received that early last week after our board meeting, so I just want to let the board know that I had received a summons that I will now be included in that. I have 21 days to respond. I believe it does put me in a position where I will have to engage legal counsel to represent me if it goes forward, and I wanted the board to be aware of that. I have not made a decision on my response yet.
Okay.
When you say legal counsel, outside of anybody we have?
Well, I can discuss that with our county counselor, but since I will, the county's interest will not necessarily be the same interest as mine, I do not believe the county counselor will be able to represent me.
I think that would be a conflict.
A lot of conflicts.
So I would, in another attempt to resolve that before I make that decision on how I represent myself there, I would offer again the one-year contract that I offered before. That would then place me in just a one-year contract. It would not be the multi-year, and I believe the multi-year status is what's being challenged here. I believe then that would allow me to exclude myself from any action being taken by the court. I just
Okay.
want to offer that to the board one more
Could
time
you,
to consider.
Could you bring that contract back to us, your 1 year?
I can have that on Thursday's agenda
Okay.
if you'd like.
Mr. Van Paris?
Mr. Chairman, members of this commission, just briefly expand on what Mr. Lawfrey just stated to you. Mr. Lawfrey has been in discussion with me. I'm fully aware of what he was going to bring to this morning. I suggested to Mr. Lawfrey that he may have a potential conflict, and he stated he might want to discuss the matter with his independent counsel, and I've certainly encouraged him to do so. I wish to state that I did discuss this with Mr. Lawfrey, that at this point in time, although Mr. Lawfrey does have options that may not be 100% in line with the county's interest, I do not view this situation as adversarial. If it were, I would inform you of that and not in this forum. But I'm hopeful that we may be able to reach a mutually agreeable solution to this. Mr. Lawfrey's role in the litigation that he received a summons is a peripheral, but may have some potential impact on his future interests. So we just want to keep you informed of where we are on this so that you're fully informed, and we'll keep you so fully informed.
Well, I appreciate that.
In seeing the contract, are we looking at now renewing the contract rather than just officially okaying your expenses with lawyer.
Well, it'd be my intention to bring forward to you the one-year contract that I proposed before that would then, I think, resolve the issue at hand. As far as legal expenses, I can bring those, I can ask the board if they want to cover that, but I'm not sure where I'm going with that just yet.
Okay.
Okay, well, I do support a one-year contract for the county administrator. I will say that.
Okay.
And any other administrative business? We got any presentations at this time? Okay. On the consent agenda, I did have one correction on the first session minutes. It said Commissioner Smith mentioned a township board member whose road was paved in front of his house without his township board's approval. The road was not paved. I turned that check in to the proper people and it was stopped. But yes, his board did not approve him to write the check to pave his road. But the road was not paved.
To pave his personal road?
The county road.
I know, but it was
By his house.
By his house.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Bob.
He turned the check into.
I gave it to the county engineer at the time and told him what led up to it. And he's still on the township board
Think that's-
because the public doesn't know about it. It was covered up. And if the public knew about it, I don't think he'd still be on the township board.
Well, I had that excuse me, Dave, I had that highlighted
Okay.
because I was curious. Okay, it's been presented. Where do we go?
Mr. Chairman, members of this commission, I'm not certain of the date that this transaction took place, but I was county councilor at the time. I think it's well over 10 years ago, Commissioner Smith. The county clerk's office contacted me with respect to a check that they noticed had gone through a township account, and they were questioning it, and they brought it to me. I did look at it. It was a check from a township to Leavenworth County Public Works, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For the paving of a road, a specified portion of township road. There was nothing on the check that indicated the township had approved it. It was only signed by one township officer. I reviewed that check with the then Public Works Director, and there had been no request by the Public Works that this road be paved, and they weren't quite certain what to do with the check. I checked into it, and there had been no formal action by the township to approve the issuance of that check. We concluded, we treated the check as an invalid fiscal document or monetary document. The check was forwarded to and further inquiry was made of the township. The check was eventually forwarded to the county attorney's office. Again, this was quite some time ago. The then county attorney reviewed the matter but did not take any prosecutorial action on the check. I believe a photocopy of the check is still in a file that I may have on this. I could retrieve those documents if you'd like. But that was those were the events that surrounded that check.
Where is the check now?
The original, I can't really tell you, Commissioner Holland. I will tell you the township account, the check was never,
So,
Yeah.
to me, if it's.
The check was never
If you've got a
cashed.
copy of it,
I believe so.
I would have thought you would have returned it to the township.
The township was informed that the check had been issued. The township check was never negotiated. No further action took place at this time, or at that time. It appeared that the check may have been issued either in error or was not formally authorized to be issued. The road was not paved.
But as far as we're concerned, we're really not.
It's a township matter, Commissioner, but we
Right.
did review the matter in the
I was
interest.
gonna say, I don't want to get in another lawsuit.
Well, the day is
It's
over.
when a township board member writes a
Isn't
check
over,
for
Commissioner.
$14,563 to pave the road by his house without the board's approval or the county's approval. I think we are involved. It's taxpayer money.
Commissioners, I'd like to credit Linda Shear. She was the then county clerk, and it may have been Janet Klazinski, but your county clerk's office detected it, and proper inquiries were made. The check was never negotiated, and there the matter rests.
Was this, who was going to theoretically do the road? The county?
Yes. The
Yes.
county was paid to do the road.
That's interesting, isn't it? I volunteered to take over my 3/4 of a mile of road and pay for it and maintain it many years ago. But I didn't have insurance. And yet we have a township officer somebody writing a check from the township to pay to have his road done, even though it wasn't done. And the county attorney gets the information and again does nothing. Or has he done something?
And it's still on the board.
I don't understand his philosophy.
Commissioner Clamp, what year did this occur? Or what year are you referring to? Because we've,
06.
okay.
It's been over 10
The
years.
current county attorney was not the county attorney
I
then.
don't care who it was. Does the county attorney ever do anything?
Probably more than we know, Commissioner, but I'll leave it at that.
Very good. You're going to be politically correct. Okay.
But that was the correction I wanted on the minutes, that the road was not paved. That's the only thing I had with
But
that.
I want to take it a little further.
All right.
Is there not something that we should do other than say, okay, hear no evil, see no evil?
Commissioner, I believe the county took all steps it could take at the time. We do not have prosecutorial powers. We referred it to the county attorney's office, who does have power to look into possible criminal activities. The county attorney took no action at that time. Again, the check was never negotiated. Funds were not taken from the township account or applied to that purported road
Well,
project.
probably wouldn't have done anything anyway. That's an assumption.
That's an assumption.
Yeah. It is totally amazing.
Well, maybe enough people will get concerned and it'll come out.
You're dreaming.
Commissioner Klemp, the system did work. The unusual check was detected.
Yeah.
It was acted upon, it was looked into, it was not negotiated, no action was taken on
Yeah.
it, but it was reported to the proper authorities.
Yeah. And the proper authorities did nothing.
The county did its part.
Yeah. Part of the county.
Well, the Board of County Commissioners did it.
There you go. County attorney didn't do anything. We're just drifting along. These county attorneys going to have to wake up. I know they want to be judges and they want to go on and be on the Supreme Court or what their dream life is. But they have to do something at the local level.
Well, again, I'd like to point out that the time frame that we're discussing did not fall into the current county attorney's
Yeah.
term.
Now, is it out of,
Statute of limitations
Oh,
has
yeah.
expired.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can do it, he can start over and do it again now. Statute of limitations on
Yeah.
the first one's up. Maybe this time it'll get through.
No,
You know.
the clerk does too good a job.
Well, I know, but still.
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you. We'll just overlook it. No
all right,
big deal.
just the minutes.
Yeah.
I just need change that the road wasn't paved.
Yeah, that's good.
And with that, was there anything else on the second session minutes?
The one thing I don't know, you have something, Bob?
Did you have something on the second?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I wanted to look over this real quick, like Commissioner Smith reported on the Kansas Association of Counties he attended. Commissioner Holland requested a copy of did you get your copy of the gym information?
I did not.
You
Oh,
did
you
not?
did? I got it.
emailed it to you. I didn't get it.
Okay.
I got it. Did
That's
you
all
get
right.
it, Commissioner?
Yeah, I got it. So if you get that to Bob, that'd be good. And
It should have came through the BOCC feedback.
I didn't get it.
Okay,
that was the main thing I had, was that,
okay. So, you ready for a motion?
And a motion to approve the minutes.
The consent
So else
agenda?
do we need to approve each session?
We can do it under the consent agenda.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, motion approved. The consent agenda.
I did have one thing under the bills.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't that come under that?
Yes,
Yeah.
so we can do some discussion. We got a motion and discussion.
and I'll second that for this, so we
All
can
right.
discuss it. There was something here, and I do like it that we get these checks.
I do too.
This is, very last item on, well, there were two items. Consolidated Water District 1, 42,000.
That's progress.
That's progress?
Mhm.
Okay.
Water line's getting moved.
Water line's getting moved. That's for them to get, to move that water line on 147th. What was the last page, 171? It says 45,906 tax cap road project. What is that? Anybody know?
What page are you on?
The very last page, which says page 2, and that came right after the consolidated water.
Mine's not in that order.
I think
Very
what you're
last.
seeing there, Commissioner, is a total of the two previous items,
Right.
Yes.
and it's just showing where it came from.
Oh, okay. Very
So
good.
it's paid from those bonds.
Thank you very much.
Sales tax.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, it's,
Okay, I got it. That's,
There we go.
mine doesn't say page 2. That's fine.
yeah.
So are you okay?
I'm okay.
And that's a second?
Second.
Voting?
Aye.
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 All right. Okay. Are we ready for the roundabout discussion?
No?
What else we got?
You know, I did something over the weekend, which I don't normally do. I watch TV, but I was, rather than reading. And this is for the brain, not for any humor. And we have written down a reserve program for the sheriff department to look into that. Thank you.
I've approached that with him.
There was a special on 2020, and I normally don't watch it, although 2020 can be a good program. But they had a lady that most of us gentlemen might not watch, Martha Stewart. And her basic comment was, she's always inquisitive because she has a hungry for knowledge. Judge Judy was the next 20 minutes. She's learning from age. And that's where you really learn, is from age and the experiences you have. Now, Martha is just a kid. She's 77. And Judy is 76. But then came Benjamin from Israel. And he said he developed patience. See, I don't have patience. I've taken Judy and Stuart and ruled out patience. You can't have patience. You've got to have the knowledge that you're going to go ahead and do something way before it needs to be done. And he was asked, would he advise his kids to run for office? You know what he said? It's nice to make a difference, but you pay for it. And there's some truth to that. So that was just a little free, and I'm sorry I wasted my weekend by watching that, but I really didn't want to go out and play football over the weekend. But it was something that I was glad that I watched because Benjamin Netanyahu, how's he pronounce that? Netanyahu. Well, I've been to Israel twice, and I learned something
You
every
lost me there on that, in that pronunciation of his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Now
com-
that, I'm with you now.
Even though I've been there, I still do not know how to, I can get Benjamin. That's easy.
I couldn't follow you there, but I'm good now that Dave
Very good.
pronounced it.
Yes, I guess it's time for the roundabout.
No, I just had a question. I didn't report back on last week going to that conference. Is there any reason why this county doesn't belong to NACO, National Association of Counties?
I believe Commissioner Bixby brought that up to join NACO, and, yeah, it's quite expensive.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's based on population.
It's fairly expensive, and several counties have dropped out of it because
Yes.
they don't feel they get a return on their investment.
Right.
Okay.
That's what we had looked at. I think we looked at it years, one of the 2 terms before, we had looked at it, and it
Mhm.
was the expense. It is,
I know Commissioner Bixby, when he was on office, he brought it up, and I think it was turned down because the expense and the.
now we can ask,
Is memberships based on your population, I'm
Right.
sure.
Usually population and budget. So I can
Okay.
ask and find out what a membership costs,
Yeah.
but I know that, like I said, I know numerous
We'll
counties
start
have
getting a lot of
dropped.
letters then,
Uh-huh.
or we will.
yeah.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'll use the BOCC feedback email. I won't give.
That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah. Don't be
Yeah,
angry.
well, that's all right. Well, I didn't know if there'd be any benefit for us to belong, being we have a federal prison and a fort and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know personally, I don't know.
It's worthwhile for,
Without
Mark, you get-
knowing more about it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if having the federal prison and the fort here would be a benefit to belong to NACO or not.
See, we got out of Mark once.
That was a mistake.
No, I don't think so.
I think
Okay.
it was.
Mr. Van Paris, you got any history on that? I'm sure you
Commissioners,
do.
I'd just like to state publicly, this is not a matter of the county sticking its head in the sand and not taking, or not using an available resource for information. You received the National Association of Counties monthly publication. You received numerous emails from them regarding various programs they had. I've visited with Mark on this, concur with his analysis, is that you pretty much already receive updates on anything they could offer you. In the event that membership in NACO would be available or advisable, you could look at it at that time. The true final analysis is, being a member of NACO, you get to go to their various conferences, which are rather expensive, and I'm not sure it really offers you any immediate benefit. So it is being looked into, and if at such time, I'm sure Mr. Lawfrey thought it was advisable, he'd come back to you, but I think we already get the benefits from it.
Okay. Yeah.
When I mentioned Mark, there was a reason for mentioning that.
Because there's a meeting tomorrow.
Well, and I hope you get back something on Eisenhower. You know, it looked like the city, and going through all the documentation that I went through and reviewed on the county's agreements with the cities, with that Mark was being approached to help with Eisenhower, and then all of a sudden it dies. I really haven't seen where we've picked up too much from Mark recently, where other entities within the area are picking up a lot of nice fringe benefits.
And Public Works, didn't you receive an off-system bridge?
We've received some bridge money from Mark
Yeah.
over the past.
The reason we didn't receive money on 20th Street is we turned the money back. I think I requested it be turned back because we would have to go under the KDOT.
Federal,
and-
wasn't it? Wasn't it federal highway standards?
Yeah, we would have to go under federal highway standards from KDOT. And by doing that, it was actually
Costing the county money.
costing the
yeah.
county
Yeah.
money, and that's what I pointed out. I know Commissioner Bixby was kind of angry at me.
But you just verified what I said, we don't get much.
No, well,
If
What
we're
were
gonna
you
get
getting?
some,
You were getting 900,000?
I
but it
I
was
don't
gonna
wanna-
cost,
I don't hate to dredge up old
yeah.
stuff, but the reason we didn't get more is because we didn't fill out the paperwork right. And it wasn't David's fault or Sarah's. They weren't even on staff, or I don't believe David was. I think you know what I'm talking about, though. So it was the lack of communication, I guess, with Mark and our staff, prior staff.
Okay.
But it was like a $900,000
Yeah, it was less
award, and it was going to cost you $1.5 million
Right.
for the
And that's what-
upgrades or something.
So we really wouldn't have gotten anything.
No, it cost you about $600,000 to
Yeah.
take the money.
Yeah,
Well,
so to me, it wasn't worth taking the
Yep.
money, and we turned it back.
Okay.
And hopefully that doesn't burn any bridges for future.
No, and we said that, and they said, no, quite frequently, they do have people turn money back because it's just not enough. I think we requested more than that, and they understood.
Like $3 million, wasn't it?
Right.
$3.5 million?
We requested that, and they,
But we didn't get it.
No.
no, because the paperwork wasn't filled out properly.
Okay. Not because it starts with L and not J.
No, no.
Leavenworth and Johnson
Nothing to do
County.
with it.
Okay. Sometimes we have to demand respect because it isn't given to you.
Well, I believe at the time, actually, I'll have to give a little credit to Commissioner Bixby, because he went down there. It was the one that got us little less than $1 million. People will say, you turned down $1 million? Well, yeah, because it's gonna cost us this
Right.
much money, $1.5 million. So,
Okay.
We ready for the roundabout discussion?
Ready for the
Yeah.
roundabout.
And is Sarah going to take the lead on that? All right. And Mark's going to represent the cities, the
I'll
left city level?
represent the city.
You'll represent the city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did reach out and make sure to let them know that we were discussing this today.
I have some documentation, I think, that will clear up this whole thing. But let's Sarah
Go ahead and
with
start.
her process.
So, good morning. We met with the city. The city has stated that they have no official stance on an intersection improvement. Our discussion went into additional clarification on our proposed roundabout and the differences between a modern-day roundabout and a traffic calming circle, where we realized there was a lot of misunderstanding between the two and what was being implemented. So for the record, it's a modern roundabout design. That design would include a right turn lane to ensure from the Eisenhower Road to 20th Street that traffic is kept outside of the roundabout since the demand is there, and that the roundabout has, they called it forced routes, if you will, to ensure that traffic stays in appropriate lanes and is directed to their destination
Excuse me, sir.
easily.
Can everybody hear, sir? Yes. Thank you.
So currently, the delay and the level of service for the roundabout is recommended, which includes the dedicated right turn lane that I just explained. So upon all the discussions between the engineer, the design engineer, which is Wilson, the city, and Leavenworth County, we are going forward with updating the warrant to include the recommended traffic counts of today. So one thing that we did recognize is that the warrant was done prior to Lansing school updates, prior to some of the different traffic route patterns that the city is concerned with. So we're going to address that, as well as we've requested further analysis from our engineers to include the capacity of each design, the delays, the cost of implementation, and the cost of maintenance. One thing that we're interested in understanding is what are the total volumes before a roundabout is no longer, whoops, now it's all of a sudden off, is it?
That was
No.
him.
Oh, okay, there it is. But one of our big concerns is just to fully understand how long the roundabout will be effective. What are those traffic capacities compared to the longevity of a traffic signal and when it would be warranted. So kind of where that balances out. The city of Leavenworth is providing the final plats of any proposed developments. They brought up a couple of developments that we are unaware of, so they are going to be providing those. And Leavenworth County has decided to accept any preliminary plats as well. We understand the platting process is long, but if there's any proposed active developments, we need to take those into consideration. So they're getting our engineers those directly, and I'll be able to report back once we have an updated warrant. So the updated warrant is important just to further ensure this project initially had a timeline of being implemented this year starting, so based upon some different design criterias and delays that we've had, this is obviously pushed out, so it's smart to update the warrant just to ensure that we are recommending an appropriate intersection design.
Commissioner Holland, you said you had some documents.
Well, I've been very proactive for a roundabout. I think it's the thing of the future. I do understand where Sarah's coming from, but I did go back and look, and in fact, I asked Becky for a copy of an MOU that we possibly have signed prior to this, and she said she had no MOU for this process, but in the minutes on March 10th, 2016, a motion was made by Commissioner Graber and seconded by Commissioner Bixby to approve an MOU on Eisenhower Road Sales Tax Project. And then since I couldn't find one here, I went to the city, and the city gave me a contract. I know you don't like those, Louis, but the contract, the appropriate and necessary traffic signals include the 20th and Eisenhower signage shall be installed under the project, with Leavenworth assuming responsibility for maintenance and repair of such signals and signage. And that was a contract 2016-17. And
It is signed.
it is signed by the mayor of Lansing, the mayor of Leavenworth, and chairman of the county commission.
Okay.
And that
But it's,
item F is exactly why we want to update the warrant. Traffic signals are appropriate as a warrant indicates, and so that's part of our recommendation to ensure that we are following the MOU.
But it also says the appropriate.
Correct. So if the signal is not warranted, then it is not an appropriate intersection.
Right. And that's what
Correct.
engineering said.
Correct, and that's why the warrant is going to be updated, so that way we ensure that we are taking into account those items that I mentioned, such as the
Right.
revised traffic patterns that the cities are concerned with.
See, it's interesting because in my discussions with different people in the city, well, we can slow the speed down. That isn't even a thought process. You don't slow the speed down. The cop sitting there issuing the ticket slows the speed down, you know? So we're gonna slow the speed down. I said at that time, I said, well, why don't we just put on Eisenhower speed bumps? That'll slow them down. And then I also mentioned no truck traffic is allowed on Eisenhower Road, on 20th Street. Who doesn't understand that? Sign says that. No truck traffic allowed. What does that mean? That it means no truck traffic allowed unless you get caught, and we're not going to catch you because we don't enforce that rule. Now, what truck traffic are we talking about? Surely anybody coming out of the industrial park will not be coming out on New Lawrence Road, on 20th Street. Surely they're going to be coming out on Eisenhower. Because first of all, if they come out if they have an exit on New Lawrence Road, that's going to be for the housing, and the trucks won't be allowed to come out there. to get on 20th Street to go north to Lansing or to Highway 29. So truck traffic doesn't have a thing to do with anything that's going to take place there.
Truck traffic is included in the analysis, and I can get further information on what that percentage is from our engineers, but they do take the developments into consideration as well as traffic pattern, the direction that they're going. And they utilize a standard transportation engineering concept of origin and destination. So if there is no destination to have a vehicle go in that direction, then they evaluate, where those turning movements are and place traffic accordingly.
So that's going to be a part of that portion of study, that how much truck traffic on 20th Street?
I can request
Shouldn't
that.
be.
Right, there shouldn't be, since there is no
truck traffic
trucks
allowed.
But usually there is some form of air type of analysis that goes in
Air
there as
analysis.
well.
I like that
So we
thing.
we like to be on the safer side. Yes, sir.
Air analysis, that's good.
Well, but truck traffic's one meeting away. They could change that in one meeting to allow truck traffic on 20th
No,
Street.
not necessarily. It may not be enforced for it.
Well, but there didn't used to be truck traffic downtown here.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is.
Oh, yeah, it's a convenience, so.
Right, so I'm saying it could eventually truck traffic and then hit up to 73.
That's true, but it shouldn't be in that analysis.
Well, unless if you're going to do all the scenarios.
Well, I'd like all the scenarios done. I do not want death in my life. I really don't. We just had to buy a new ambulance, $156,000. No big deal, 156 here and 156,000 there. We had to buy a ambulance because somebody ran a stop light. Oh, the stop lights are very efficient. You know how many times out here on 2nd Street, these stop signs have been run? There's no statistic on it. But I know I ran one, and the cop went, no, Louis. Now, have I run them any other time? Don't know. But those stop signs were never there. Stop lights weren't downtown. Stop signs were there, and then stop lights. Somewhere you adapt to safety. If you don't care about people living and dying, that's fine. But if you have some concern for people living and dying, other than the chosen reservoir at minus 60 degrees below zero, and most people don't even know that because they don't care about the history. Will the roundabout protect lives? Now, it's fine to get all the statistics, but don't have any truck statistics in there at all. None. Because no trucks are allowed. Now, it may not be supported concrete-wise for the outer lane to have a truck on there. I don't know. Is it 8 inches, 10 inches? I threw away all my information that I got from my neighbor, which was a pile about that thick on 20th Street traffic way. I figured I'd never use it. And there was a lot of data. Now I'm getting all this data on Eisenhower, McIntyre, and 147th Street. So the big thing is, to me, if we don't care about death, and that's what it boils down to. I'm not going to sweet it. If we don't, because the enforcement agencies are told not to enforce, or they take that on their own. You have to enforce your laws. I love it when Lansing enforces the speed limit. Now, we get a lot of complaints from Johnson County and Douglas County, and I could care less about them. The laws have to be enforced. You're not going to enforce the laws, nobody's going to go by the laws. So I would hate to see a study being done that included trucks, because trucks are not allowed. Now, fine, all it takes is a vote, and it just takes 3-2 in the city of Leavenworth. But I think that all the information How many people did you have pick up this from you, Mark?
The information you handed out?
Yeah,
Only the people who you asked me to distribute it to.
yeah. Nobody else. All this data, roundabouts, about 7 different pros, cons. Kansas did one, but nobody picked up that information to study what engineers had come up with. The only thing they gave was, I don't like them. They scare me. Stop signs that I run scare me, even though there's hardly any traffic there. I was reading the city's dissertation, and what was it, the weekend edition. They have come up with their reasons, and I guess it's truthful because our wonderful reporter does it, and he doesn't usually do anything falsified-wise. It saves money with the roundabout if the roundabout qualifies. If it qualifies. According to the FHA website, roundabouts are often safer, more efficient, less costly, and more aesthetically appealing than conventional intersection designs. It says, I'm in favor of looking at roundabouts, but I also want the pros and the cons. Mr. Smith says the city should have some input. I agree. Mr. Preisinger argues that the agreement between the county and the city calls for a traffic signal.
He is correct.
No, he isn't.
That's according to that.
According to this, it says appropriate. And according to the engineer, it says traffic stoplights are not appropriate. Doesn't qualify.
The word that's necessary is the word that would indicate the warrant. And so
At this time, it's not.
necessity.
Yeah, at this time.
Correct.
Right.
Well, we're going to have 101 houses built there, according to the city's information. There's going to be 101 houses. And then the other family member of the Schirmbecks, the city will put through Muncie, and there'll be 1,600 houses there. So even the stoplight won't qualify. They're going to have to have another north-south road to get them onto Eisenhower, which will need to be 4 lanes going each way by then, and we won't have that. And then are we going to take 15th Street or New Lawrence Road south of Eisenhower? Are we buying land to do that? So I don't think that the information, and I thought it was interesting, Mark Preisinger, okay, asked the residents to provide input to county commissioners and city commissioners regarding the issue. How many phone calls did you get?
2.
2? How many did you get?
3.
3? Well, I'm going to have to go with none, but I did go to a neighbor's, and I said, well, the only reason I came over here was to discuss roundabouts, and he said, I love roundabouts. So you got 2, 3, you got 2, I got none.
Now, I'm not saying they were against roundabouts.
Yeah,
I'm saying I got 3 phone calls.
3 phone calls, pro and con. And you got 2.
Against.
Say again?
2 against.
And I got 1 favor, so I don't know where his
I
went.
got 1 against it.
1 against?
Favor.
So that balances you out. I had 1 favor, so I guess if we're going by the phone calls received or the visitations, then the roundabout should not go, or should go.
City of Lansing, did they have any input on this?
No.
No.
Yeah, but what should they have?
Well, they got south side of the intersection.
They're not responsible for any maintenance of it. Now, they are going to pick up supposedly the stormwater, and they don't like that thought. Stormwater that's all going to flow south, which,
It's going to have to flow south.
yeah, it can't flow north. I guess it could. but,
Yeah,
it
put a
won't.
lift station in for stormwater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pump station.
Station,
Well,
So,
let's just keep it going downhill.
So Leavenworth is taking over a heck of a maintenance.
Yes, they are.
So, you know, the maintenance every year is something that,
Well,
Leavenworth-
it run, I had that document that said it run $10,000 sometimes.
yeah.
Well,
So, but yeah, I have that same document, and it doesn't say stoplight, stop sign. And now we're going to come up with a new study, and we're going to not include the trucks, because trucks aren't allowed, but the engineer will.
Commissioner
You have
Klump,
to.
we have to conduct the engineering study with our engineering criteria and per the professional engineer. So I can't say that we're going to exclude all trucks.
Yeah. How many stoplight deaths have we had? Are they going to include that in the study?
Yes.
That'd be interesting.
I think you have to include trucks because like I said, you could go to a city commission meeting and they could vote to remove the no trucks on 20th.
Yeah, but you're saying if,
But it's just a scenario.
yeah,
Well, whoever thought that we'd have trucks
Downtown?
downtown Leavenworth?
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
had that
There's
truck route for
semis that
years
You're squeezed in like this.
yep.
by the post office.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That just happened in the last year.
And that came because they didn't.
I have no idea why it came.
Well, it did. They didn't want it on Third Street.
Well, I
Okay.
figured that.
Yeah, a few residents didn't want it, so we're going to create a hazard in downtown Leavenworth. But that's the way we do it. It's the appropriateness for, well, I need a vote. I don't know what it's all about. But
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a lot of accidents that are major accidents, and they're not going to be minor on, so when are you saying this engineering thing's going to come about?
I'll get back to you on a date. I believe it's about 2 weeks for them to at least get updated information, but we do have to do a traffic count, and they'll go out and do that per their criteria, so it may take up to a month.
Okay?
Okay, and cost? What will the cost be?
It was the change order, I don't know the exact dollar, it was between $4,000 and $5,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Are they going to include the traffic tickets that are given out on 20th Street?
I don't believe traffic tickets are included in a traffic
That
analysis.
is a major violation on any road. Lack of enforcement. I don't understand this. 79 years, and I don't understand why we don't pay for government with traffic tickets. So you're saying it will be here in 2 weeks?
I'll be able to report back probably in
Report
about 2
back.
weeks on at least when they've completed their traffic count. So they do have to go out and reanalyze and count the traffic, and they literally count the traffic. So, and it's a double-blind test, if you will. The city and the county do not know when the counts are occurring to ensure the data is good.
Do we know where the traffic from the 101 houses are going to enter into 20th Street?
That would be something that we'd be receiving from those plats type of thing, where those roads are going to be platted. So when they get those plats, they'll be able to take into account the traffic associated with whatever is in the plats, as well as the roads that are proposed.
And how much, if there was a roundabout to be, how much more property has to be acquired? Is it going to affect any houses, any more houses? Or you don't know on that? It's too early to
That's part
tell.
of the analysis
Yeah.
that we've requested to come back to give us an
And-
idea. We have a preliminary idea of what that looked like, and I believe a very large majority of it was already included. So
Okay.
it'd be a small percentage more,
Very small, yep.
yeah.
Because I've looked at these designs here, A, B, C, D, and E, and there's not much more. There's
And then-
some people here.
Yeah, Mr. Frantz, you want
Yeah, I'd
to
like
chime in on this?
Yeah. My name is Jerry France, and I live on 26510 New Lawrence Drive, which is the gravel road south of 20th. So I come out on that road at least 4 or 5 times a day. And from experience, I will tell you this, that usually there are 3 to 4 cars on 20th trying to turn left on East. I'm probably the only car sitting on, trying to turn right on East. There's very few cars ever turning off 20th going west, and very few cars from New Lawrence Drive turning also west. So almost all the traffic is east on Eisenhower, although many times I go north across 20th. And that is, usually people are courteous there. And it's kind of hard to, when you're sitting there, everybody there, coming in, all the traffic that's coming up over the hill going west, because they come pretty fast. And so I'm not necessarily opposed to a roundabout. I just want to know, am I going to be able to make a right turn and go east like I normally do? Or what am I going to be doing there? That's
Sarah
my
could
question.
answer that.
Yeah, so basically, if you're at the New Lawrence Road intersection, you will enter into the roundabout as though you're making a right-hand turn, and
Okay.
you'll be able to continue on to Eisenhower. If you do need to be turning left or going straight, you would just continue on in your lane and enter whichever exit, if you will,
So
be
if
it
I'm
20th Street
going-
or...
If I'm going north, which is straight across, where do I go?
You just go
Yeah, so
around.
you would enter
Go
the
around.
roundabout and you would continue around the roundabout. So you
Okay.
go basically, if you consider yourself at 6 o'clock, you'll go from 6 to noon.
Well, all fairness, the traffic count, in my opinion, should focus on the traffic that's turning left off of 20, and
Right.
the traffic that's going either across, north, or east, because very little traffic off of those roads goes to the west.
Yeah.
In fact, I very seldom see anybody go west. Of course, then there's the problem that when I'm coming back south, I'm in that
Gonna turn left.
lane where you can't ever see what's coming from the east because everybody pulls way out beyond the stop sign, so you kind of wait till the guy turning left goes and then you go, figuring to hit him first.
You can go around as many times as you want to get off wherever you need to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can just keep going around circles till you get a clear shot
And I
to
do
get
have
off.
one further question.
All right,
Everybody calls that New Lawrence Road, but I live on New Lawrence
North Drive.
So what is it? Because it's marked New Lawrence Road on the side.
Didn't we have that discussion?
I'd have to look it up.
I've called
Yeah.
the city, the county GIS
Yeah.
a couple
Uh-huh.
times, and I've never seen anything move there. I thought New Lawrence Road was on 20th.
Actually, I think there's probably supposed to be another sign there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it. I'm not.
Isn't
Yeah,
that it?
and then actually that portion there is the city of Lansing takes care of that little stretch.
Is that right?
Yeah, so we've got Leavenworth County and Lansing all there. It's a wonder you get any mail at all.
Well,
Is that
my
a vi-
address- My
No.
address has changed 4 times.
Is that a violation of the law to pull past the stop lane?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is,
I
But-
assumed it was.
but it's enforced. No, I guess it
Well,
isn't.
no. I've never seen any police on
No.
there.
And they don't enforce turning west on Eisenhower off of 4th Street and turning to the outside lane. They once gave warnings, but they don't enforce it. So you're supposed to turn into the closest lane,
Right,
and then you signal to get over. And when I had my old truck, I loved to test people, but I got a new truck now, and I don't like to test people because they just swerve right over and they're going to go on rounds. So, but that's just another law, no big deal.
So I'm not necessarily opposed, I'm just wanting to know.
Okay?
But there's actually a lot of traffic on New Lawrence Drive, New Lawrence Road, because people come through that as a shortcut, so they don't have to go all the way around Pondey Road. Thank you.
I've never taken it as a shortcut. I don't like gravel roads.
Well, well, they certainly don't
Right.
obey the speed limits on that road either.
No, Now, your grader operator keeps it too smooth.
A lot of rock you spend on that road.
Yeah. Well, maybe when we get all this worked out, maybe New Lawrence Road will get done.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wanting to discuss roundabouts? Yes, sir.
I was hoping some more maturity would get up there.
Well, I'm mature, all right.
That's right, Norm.
I'm Norman Dawson. I live at 2100 Cedar Ridge Drive. I'm on 20th Street, just north of Eisenhower in this Oakwood subdivision. I've through there like this gentleman many times daily. The traffic on Eisenhower Road is pretty fast both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't trust a signals on people going west like they're going to turn into 20th Street, because some of them don't. So you have to wait until it's clear both ways. They come up over that hill from the west, and they're traveling more than 50 miles an hour. So particularly of a morning and the late afternoon, it's heavy both ways. People going to Kansas City to work and people going to Fort Leavenworth to work. I have some experience with roundabouts, and I never know which lane I'm supposed to be in. So I straddle them both. And on Renner Road or down by the new Catholic High School on Prairie Star Parkway, got 4 or 5 of them in a row.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the accident rates are on those, but I'm in the middle because I don't know which lane I should be in. I personally think a stoplight is more safe. But you can put all the speed limit signs out there you want to, and they don't pay attention to them. And that's where I'm coming from, and I live on 20th. And I just hope that that's what you end up with. I think it'll be safer for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Norm, just for your information, statistics show that roundabouts are safer in death and they're safer in accidents. That's what the stats show. And it probably wouldn't be true if cities enforced their other laws. But cities don't enforce speed laws. They don't enforce stoplights. They don't enforce anything. And I don't know where you can get the old sheriff's deputies from the 1800s that didn't give you, oh, we're going to let you go because I know you. You know, yes, ma'am, I'm going to give you a warning. My mother-in-law, and I can talk about her because she's gone, she loved to get speed. God bless her heart. So.
Anyone want to take a bet on how long it takes Mr. Klemp to get a ticket now?
Oh, yeah, he doesn't get tickets, I guarantee you.
All right.
He knows what the speed law is.
Okay. Mark, do you have any follow-up on this
Well, I
from your
think that-
discussions?
I think that the staff has taken the approach that they were directed to do. They met with the cities, they had the discussions, and they've reviewed the MOU that's in place. And I think with this additional study, it will allow us to do what's necessary, which is what the agreement says we'll do.
So you're saying we'll have to break the contract?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. The contract says what is necessary. And if the
It does, Bob.
If the agreement, if the counts aren't show what's necessary as a roundabout, then that's what we'll recommend. And if it shows what's necessary as a stoplight, that's what we'll recommend. If it says what's necessary are stop signs, that's what we'll recommend. Then it's up to the board to make a decision on whether they're going to follow what's recommended by the engineer. I think you have professional staff in place that will make a recommendation. That recommendation will be based upon the statistics at the time, not the statistics 10, 15 years from now.
We've got official engineering staff to go along with our official county administrator. See? We're going to become very effective.
Got any questions on that?
Well, I just am reading the contract that we have signed, and even though I don't like it, I'm for a roundabout. A contract is a contract.
Yeah, but Bob, F is what you're reading. The appropriate and necessary traffic signals including at 20th and Eisenhower, and signage shall be installed under the project.
With Livermore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
appropriate.
right.
So I guarantee you, if you really wanted it safe, and I can't remember where I read that, this community removed all stoplights and stop signs on one special intersection. And there were no accidents at all because people became real cautious. People don't want to die. There are some people that may want you to die because they run the intersection, but okay, so you will be back with some kind of report in 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You had some concerns about the time frame on Eisenhower. You still feel comfortable
I don't
that
care.
they're on schedule?
It doesn't matter if they ever get it done.
Okay.
Well, we got 20 years.
We got 20
Yeah,
years,
got
but
20
we're not
years,
going to do
and we can pay
that.
cash for it.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the longer delay, the more sales tax. I'm sure our sales tax coffers grew this weekend.
You know, there was something that came up, you know, and I thought it was interesting during the conversation with this gentleman last night. Said, I love roundabouts. We got to talking about, can't you see the four corners out there? Because you have these stores that love the corners. Can't you see two pharmaceuticals? Because it's never one. Because when one moves, the other one moves out there. Because now we're going to have 101 new houses, and then on the other property we're going to have 1,600. So now we've got to have a grocery store out there. How many entrances are we going to make into 20th Street? Now, if I had done 20th Street, there would have been no entrances allowed. But the city of Leavenworth, God bless their heart, didn't see fit to lock up the adjoining land. Now, as we go up the hill on 20th Street, there's a house that's had an entrance there. There's now, as you go down the hill, an entrance because the city did not control the right-of-way. It's very important to control your right-of-way on major thoroughfares. Plus, there's the one across the street, right there at just before you get to 20th Street. I mean, Spruce, the one that goes into the housing area, and now there's one across the street. So it's going to create a lot of problems. So, and hopefully at New Lawrence Road, where it enters into 20th Street, they'll have stoplight there. Because we now have 1,600 plus 101. That's 1,701 houses going to enter out onto 20th Street. Not in your lifetime, Sarah, but because I think they're only doing very few permits a year. I don't know if that's ever going to increase. So,
Well, hopefully our industrial park will fill up and there'll be people coming to work there.
yep, hopefully.
And
Very good.
we deal with access management all the time, Commissioner. State highways they have a pretty strict policy on access management, I believe. KDOT does.
No, they don't. They said they weren't going to allow any more on 4th Street. And they still let Freddy's have one. They just keep putting them there. And poor old Leavenworth sits up here. And Mark's really protecting us, not Mark, but
Mid-America
Mid-
Regional Council.
Mid-America Regional. They're protecting us because KDOT just keeps allowing, depending on who's talking, they'll allow another entrance and Leavenworth sits up there and now, you know, it used to be an extra 10 minutes and then an extra 20 minutes and an extra 30 minutes to get to Kansas City. It's amazing.
Well,
So
hopefully
I will not-
KDOT's we'll get their funding back, and Federal Highway will put some money toward things, and we can put flyovers on every stoplight on 7 Highway heading to the city,
Yep. Okay.
or frontage road, or something. It is slow, it's a lot slower getting to the city now than it used to
Yep.
be.
Very true. Okay.
Anybody else have anything on the roundabout on 20th and Eisenhower? Yes, sir.
I live out on 179th Street. My name's Jerry Campbell. I travel Eisenhower all the time, and there is significant truck traffic that goes west on Eisenhower out and catches either heading to Tongi or,
Yeah.
and roundabouts. I hate them things. If you drive down into Kansas City, like the other gentleman, you're further ahead to take the center and tie up both lanes to keep from getting hit. Because people come around the inside lane and shoot right straight across in front of you to get to their exit, and then you're coming on. And, you know, I'm one of them idiot drivers that you referred to, if the paper's correct. I hate them and have no desire to see one there. Thank you.
You're correct on the truck traffic on Tongi Drive. Since we put the new bridges in there, it seems like we have a lot more truck traffic on that. And,
Of course, my conversation was on 20th Street,
yeah, right.
and it will increase going.
Yeah, and like I said, I know if any of you've seen our county resolution that commercial vehicles are,
Oh, yeah.
but it's not, we can't enforce it, so. There's nothing we can do about that, as long as the bridges will handle the weight, and pretty much trucks can drive on it, the way I see it. I mean, we've looked into it, and that's just the way it is, so. Yeah, we have anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second it.
Voting, aye.